Yeah.
Okay, everybody's gonna have some fun now. We are the Boxcar Buddies. We love to float around in this toxic quest. Me and Don and our friends, Kevin and Steve. We found them in a cab. We took them into this garbage chute. They are a part of the boxcar unless they get eaten by some kind of sewer monster.
Which one? Oh! No! Kevin, it's Dana! Guys, no! No, crawl away! Crawl away! Get out of here! I got him!
You bastard! All right. Well, all right. Let's cover the evidence.
Clean this stuff out of the way here. Let's get it out of the ways of the microphones and all the stuff. Let's drag the sewer monster over into the corner because we can cook that later. That looks good. You see the bumpy scales on that thing?
What? I wonder what the bumps are.
Me too.
Oh, you know what? They're probably Kevin and Steve.
Yeah. Those the human-shaped bumps in the tum-tum. Yeah. It's quick digestion from the sewer monster.
I think Kevin might be still. No, never mind. He just stopped. He stopped. Right
the movement is probably like preliminary digestion. He's probably just getting tugged like toward the intestines a little bit.
He's just having like those little jolts that chickens do after you cut off their heads. And
just like nerve endings, just firing off like synapses and all that. But anyway,
like a sweet rave party.
Like a sweet rave party.
Except with two dead guys and a sewer monster.
Which we're going to make use of later because we are the Boxcar Buddies and we're homeless and we don't have any other means of feeding ourselves normally. Hi, hello.
Hey guys, welcome to this very echoey sewage pipe.
Yeah.
This isn't really a boxcar, it's a sewer pipe.
We could not, we were not able, Greg or I, we were not able to find a suitable boxcar this week. Every one of them had giant gaping holes that we found available to us. So
one had hornets.
Yes.
And let me tell you, you should wait until hornets are dead before you start eating them.
Absolutely. And even going anywhere near their nests. I mean, you just don't want any part of that. They're angry. They remember you. They can smell fear, I think, possibly.
They have a list.
They do.
Like, you thought that the FBI's wanted list was bad? Like, WASP wanted lists are rough.
They don't forget. They just don't forget.
No, they're like the elephants of the sky.
Of the insect world, yeah. But anyway, Greg and I, we like to meet every week and jump into a boxcar. But this week, as we said, we couldn't find one, so the best that we thought we could do was just we crawled into
find
this...
somewhere nice and cool, has some drinking water.
Plenty of that. Plenty of that.
I found this broken chair.
Yeah, look at that thing. Look at that thing go. Really creaking. Really creaking there. All right, well, just be careful. Don't move it too much because you're also sort of perilously perched on the edge of that walkway there, and there's just a bunch of, like, sewer river, like, right behind you. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get washed away like a Cole Phelps kind of situation. Just
no, not at all. Not at all. You're going to be
flushed away.
Snacking on some feces.
Like that movie with the rat that got swallowed by the toilet. Flushed away.
Ratatouille?
No, flushed away.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. But anyway, yeah, so here we are. We're in this sewer pipe, which is... somewhere off of Lower Wacker in the Loop of Chicago. It's several levels down, but...
It smells like a KFC.
There's a whole lot of people's leavings that have made their way down here. I found this sombrero. This is...
You look great.
This is kind of fun. Yeah,
you know what? I have to say it's slimming on your head.
Yeah, it's very wide, and I like the weight. I like the weight that it has on my head. It makes me feel more balanced.
I think that's because there's still water in the rim part of the
sombrero. Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
How's it taste?
Salty. Salty and mercurial, actually. But anyway, so what Greg and I do is, we're a couple of homeless guys by choice in Chicago, and we meet up once a week if we can, and we like to talk about the different content that we absorb and the different troubles that we find ourselves in, and
the weird predicaments we get into.
Exactly, steampunk mini-man.
I've come from the future.
Good. I knew it. I knew you'd come back.
I wanted to make sure that everyone understands the power of jets and steam.
I didn't understand either of those.
We don't even use gas grills anymore. We just use steam.
Does it still taste okay? Does the food taste good?
No, it tastes like it's boiled in the air. It's been steamed.
Huh. Man, the future, you don't paint a very pretty picture.
Have you ever tried to eat fried chicken that's been steamed?
I haven't.
The breading doesn't stay. It turns into like a sad, wet sandwich.
I imagine it's
like you had it sit in the rain.
Like it's a sock. Like it's a sock around a piece of chicken.
Yes, that's what my people call fried chicken in the future.
Oh,
Socks.
Man. Well, thanks for stopping by, Steampunk Miniman. You're really your presence
quite
here.
welcome. I'm happy I got to experience this 21st century sewer pipe. It smells like shit. Something that we don't have anymore. We just excrete steam.
Wow. So that's why your stuff runs on steam.
Our innards are just made completely out of PCP pipes.
Wow. Man,
and duct tape.
This is really fascinating. We got to talk more about this after the show. Can you stick around though, because the light that you have on your jetpack.
Just let me do some scooting around in these sewer pipes. I'd like to find out the underworkings of this great city that would eventually become powered by steam.
Sounds great. Thank you very much again. Keep your light on. Don't forget to keep your light on. It gets really dark around these corners.
Ow, my head! I didn't wear my steam-powered light bulb.
That's why you always wear that.
Yeah, you deserve that, you tiny little monster.
Yeah, he's about 2.5 feet, 3 foot tall.
I am so glad that I will be dead by that point in time, because I do not want to turn into a steam-powered, awful, tiny man.
Nor do I ever want to taste sock chicken. I mean, does that in any way sound appealing? That's the future that we're looking at? That's horrible.
I mean, I've had sock chicken before. It's fine if it's cooked right.
That's only because you know exactly how to cook it.
Yeah, because you have to put a bunch of beer cans in there too.
It's really, but
and then also you have to grill it. Like,
yeah,
you can't steam it.
Yeah, but all the trials and errors that you went through before that, really tough to stomach. Mm-hmm. But now you have that knowledge though, and it's sweet. But anyway,
you can find out in my soon-to-be-released cookbook.
Oh, I know. I can't wait for that. Dude, some of your recipes are like really, really good, especially for people with little or no income.
Also, I have revealed my recipe for homemade honey, even though I have done that before on the show.
Yes.
But this time it's written in ink.
That is great. Is that how you wrote the book? Did you write it in ink, or was it like
I
typed?
used whatever kind of like fluidy thing I could find.
Okay. So is it like a book in different colors as you go along?
It's like
and turn
using
the
a
pages?
multicolor pen. But, it just changes when I feel like it.
That's fun. That adds like a whole new adventure to reading the book.
There's a whole lot of coloring to it, too. You
cool.
can also color in it.
And good recipes. Man, this is awesome. So, yeah, check that out. What's the name of the cookbook?
It's going to be called Greg's Cooking List.
Cool. Greg's Cooking List. Check that out. We'll look for it when it's released.
You have to give me another year, though, because I still have to put in a bunch of other recipes.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. But I can't wait, because I know you make some good stuff.
I do.
Speaking of good stuff, I want to tell you, Greg, this past week, I made my way at some point to O'Hare Airport, and I was just...
That's on the Upper West Side.
It is, yeah. It's
here in the great city of Chicago.
Broad shoulders. But so I ran myself up there. I hopped onto a blue line, fell asleep for a little while, and then just, woke up, and I was at O'Hare. I was getting gently prodded by the CTA man, just telling me to...
The German Shepherds were sniffing you all over, seeing what kind of things you had on you.
These didn't have the metal muzzles either. This German Shepherd, easily, was ready to just bite me if I didn't move. Yeah, he had some chompers.
This man's made of spam.
Not like your chompers, but they had dog chompers.
My chompers are better.
They are. They are facilitated to be better.
Yes.
The canines are just natural. So it's like, what do you
Exactly. Mine are going to be soon-to-be evolution. You know what? I should have asked Steam Man before he went away if the sharp teeth became a thing.
He'll probably come back. You can ask him a little bit later. But anyway, I'm in O'Hare, and, after a while and after hours, it got to be around 2 a.m., and I was doing that thing where I try and, pry open the metal sheet that covers the Auntie Annie's the food. I was trying to just lift it from
kiosks.
the ground. Yeah. I was trying to lift up the metal, the door, And this particular night, this is a Tuesday, it's like 2 or 3 a.m., and I guess, one of the cleaning guys had stolen one of the driver's little luggage-like cars, and he drove it over, and he started sword fighting me with his mop. He just started kind of like, he was like fencing, and I didn't have anything. I was just shouting at him. I was like, get off of me. I want some fucking pretzels, man. And we got to talking, and his name's Clarence, and he's a nice enough guy. Clarence told me that I had to get out of there, and when I told him that I wasn't gonna leave until I got some snacks and I rested a little bit, he drove me to this back area of the airport that I had never been in before. And it's like this, you go into this door and it's in like a circular room, and there's a ton of doors all around the circumference of it. There's probably like 9 to 12 doors there. And it was really cool, but on the inside is like a circular couch, and there's a bunch of TVs, and there's like a vending machine that all you've got to do is you go up and you press the button. It doesn't require any money, and it just spits out some snacks.
Ooh.
So Clarence was like, hey, he said...
He licked his fingers off his tongue just like that?
He was like, Clarence... Yeah, because he barely talks, so he was communicating like physically.
He communicates through his
gestures.
From his fingertips?
Yes, and he always wets them. He's always like... It's like he's just eating ribs, and he's like doing like... He's like licking off his fingertips, and he just like and then he'd spell out Braille on my forehead, and I had to try and guess like what he was actually trying to say to me.
It was like playing sticky charades.
Yeah, and it took like 2 hours for him to say like one sentence to me, so it was not the most efficient mode of communication. But I mean,
did you offer him a notepad and pen or anything?
No, I didn't even think of it actually. I kept thinking it was going to be over like the next second.
I kept thinking he was going to say Roger Rabbit, and I kept saying it, but he just kept shaking his head and getting real mad.
And his eyes got wider and wider, and he was like shaking.
He drew a big oval on a bulletin board, and I said, "Dignity."
Right. So he's doing the thing, and then finally, like after he communicated that he just wanted to do this one fencing number from this movie, I think it was Princess Bride. I think he wanted to reenact like one of those sword fighting scenes.
The swashbuckling between the Dread Pirate Roberts and Inigo Montoya.
Yeah. Mandy Patinkin and Carrie Elwes.
He does an okay Boston accent.
Yeah, it's okay. But anyway, after Clarence did his fencing and beat me with the mop handle and we were all done with it, he said I could stay in that back room and I could utilize the TVs and the vending machine, and I just had to be out of there by 6 a.m.
You proved your worth.
Exactly. And, so we were all good after that. So anyway, he leaves me alone. I fire up a TV. I spewed some snacks out of the vending machine, and I just kind of sat there, fired up some Netflix. I think one of them had a Roku stick. Somebody's account was in there, and I fired it up, and I noticed that a new season of Arrested Development was available on Netflix.
Your, favorite show ever.
I love me some Arrested Development. Was put off of it by season 4. I will start that right away. That season 4 of Arrested Development, I think, put a lot of people a little bit off of it. It was kind of weird. It was different. There were a lot of scenes that were not the ensemble cast. It was too individualized. So, Mitch Hurwitz, a few weeks before the 5th season came out on Netflix,
did a damage control season?
Yes, he remixed the 4th season. They took some stuff out, they put some stuff in that wasn't in there before, that wasn't shown, and it was just
he used a lot of samples from Godzilla movies. Yeah, like that one.
Yeah, we got to be careful, dude. There's definitely things in this sewer, man. Holy shit. Steampunk Miniman, be careful, man. You can't just drive by the mics like that. It's the steam power. It really makes him move fast.
All I hear is the little puttering of his little jetpack.
That's it. And the dark colored goggles that he has.
The Coke bottle goggles he has.
Pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Those are pretty cool. Anyway, though, so yeah, it was damage control of the 4th season. Mitch Hurwitz, the creator, clearly he even spoke about wanting to redo the 4th season. He just said it didn't turn out the way they wanted. And so it was very clear that he's like, let me showcase the things I want that are important for the 5th season, and let's sweep under the rug.
He gave a nice 4th season fucking reboot.
Yeah, totally. It was just a changing it around. I will say, as a fan of the show, I thought the remix of the 4th season was better. It made it much more clear cut. It felt like the older stuff. It was just better. There was, as a fan of the show,
still have that randomness of Jeffrey Tambor turning in like trans, or was that?
It did still have that. Yes,
just that completely random like.
He gets drugged with estrogen unbeknownst to him, and he becomes a lot more feminine. Yes, so he starts going down that path, and it's pretty funny. Yeah, but so the fourth season still whatever. The fifth season came out May 29th, and there's only 8 episodes, which I found out later it's been split. So later this year they'll release the other 8. It's 2 parts, and what came out the 29th was the first part. So I've only seen those first 8 episodes of Season 5 of Arrested Development. But having watched those, I will say it is so much better than even the remix of the 4th season. It harkens all the way back to the original 3 seasons of the show. Even from the editing, it's much quicker. The audio of Ron Howard, who narrates the whole thing, the audio of him on the opening credits is the old audio from the show. It's not the re-recorded stuff for the 4th season. It's actually the same audio from the original show. So you could just tell as they were going through it that they wanted to get back to the original 3 seasons.
You want to get back to your roots.
Yeah, exactly. Get back to what made it great. And there were more ensemble things, not as much as I'd like. As a matter of fact, Lindsay, the sister, Portia de Rossi, she was probably in like a total of 3 episodes and like 2 or 3 scenes in those episodes total. She was almost nowhere to be seen. But
sorry, this chair just really creaks.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, what are you going to do? We found it in the sewer. Just be careful. Like I said, you keep rocking like that over that edge behind you, and I know you're just going to splash down in there one of these times.
I will be fine. I just like imagining that I'm like an old grandpa
on your porch, sipping some iced tea with a rifle within arm's reach.
Has anyone taken care of the star today?
No, Ted. The star needs your loving hands.
All right, I'll get on that next week.
Come in for the pierogies.
Yeah, I'll be there in a minute. Just give me a minute.
Do you have a banjo?
I've been stuck in this rocking chair for 30 years.
I know. I'll bring your food out to you.
Thank you, darling. Can you make sure to just stay still with the fork? Because I can't stay still to take a bite.
I said stop rocking when I'm feeding you.
I can't help it. I've been stuck in this. It won't let me free from its jaws.
Yeah, I can see that now.
Just getting farther and closer and 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 farther and closer.
Okay, this is really unraveled here. But anyway, yeah, I can see
No, we're
that.
not talking about unraveled. We're talking about...
Not yet. You're right. We're not. We're talking about Arrested Development. But anyway, yeah. So season 5, it's very, very good. If you are a fan of the show like me, it's sort of back to the old stuff. It's a lot of fun. One of the best and most surprisingly funny duos in the show of all the great cast. Again, Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, Jeffrey Tambor, Jessica Walter, David Cross, Tony Hale. Like, of all these great, Henry Winkler, as support, of all the comedy in there, some of the best scenes in this 5th season came from Michael Cera and Aaliyah Shawkat, who plays Maybe, the 2 youngest members of the cast in the family.
Who are now much older.
They're adults. They're completely they're young adults, but they're adult people now. And they were kids originally. Their comedy, though, they have really budded into comedic actors.
Michael Cera is a solid comedian.
I completely agree.
I think Scott Pilgrim was when I started falling in love with his style of delivery and comedy.
Yes.
And he knows how to work it.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of that delivery that you mentioned, the quick retorts that are like under the radar,
just
like
the dryness of his delivery.
Yes, there's a lot of they milk that in this season. There's just him and his cousin George Michael and Maybe, like in the show, they have a lot of alone time between the two of them, and those were some of the scenes that made me laugh really hard. They have some great exchanges. And it was surprising to me because when you watch the original stuff, Tobias and Job, and there's so much greatness in the ensemble, but like Maybe and George Michael kind of get left by the wayside.
Yeah, because they have to compete with fucking Tobias.
Exactly. This time, I mean, they bring it. They really do bring it. Tobias, David Cross is also great. One of the things I disliked about the fourth season was they tried to make him too. They were trying to get away from he's like unknowingly gay. Yeah, exactly. They had him get like arrested as a pedophile. They really punched you in the face with like his misleading way of talking, and that kind of sucked the humor out of it. So like that.
Yeah, what makes it genuine is that he's just a weird dude, but his heart is kind of in the right place.
Totally.
He's just fucking weird.
And he's obstinately like ignorant of his weird way of talking. Like he just doesn't get it. So the fact that they made him confront that like in the fourth season kind of took the joke away from it. They sweep that under the rug in the fifth season, and they kind of try and get back to him as the
unknowingly gay, blue-skinned, lovable idiot.
Yes. They give him like a bastard son, like an adopted son named Murphy Brown, and they're always running around and doing stupid stuff. Like that's pretty hilarious. Job falls in love with Ben Stiller's character, Tony Wonder. So Tony Wonder rebrands himself into a gay magician, and him and Job like unintentionally like form like a boarding school romance. I think is Ron Howard refers to it. There are a lot of good stuff, and what I like a lot is that, I mean, again, the fourth season, this fifth season, everything they're doing now since it's been rebooted, it's all about the future of the show and where they're going. So they sow a lot of plot points, like they seed a lot of stuff that's gonna bear fruit like later down the road. And after watching these first 8 episodes of season 5, I'm really looking forward again to what the future holds. Whereas after the fourth season originally came out, I honestly, I kind of turned away from the show and I didn't really care where it was going. Now I'm definitely back on board because I think that they've kind of gotten around and back to what made it so great in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, so I recommend
Something that I kind of wish Archer caught on to.
Yeah, I haven't seen any Archer after season 4, I want to say.
After Archer, Vice, and Archer, I watched halfway through Archer Noir, and I was like, I don't care.
Vice, I think, was the last thing I saw.
Vice was not great.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, related though, because Jessica Walter and it's very Arrested Development-esque. Archer is, but season 5 of Arrested Development, check it out. If you haven't seen anything after season 3, the original Arrested Development stuff, check out the remix of season 4. Do not watch the original cut of it. I don't even think Netflix has that available. It's only the remix that you can watch. So check out the season 4 remix and then watch the 8 episodes of season 5. It's still hard to top season 2 in terms of just that gold and glory that they had, but they're close to it. It's back to the goodness. So check it out.
Dang. Well, to go on what I did this week, things got a little spooky for me.
Is that right?
Spooky. So,
who spooked you? Somebody spooked you?
Well, I think I spooked a bunch of people, a little too bad. So I went online because I was like, you know what? I'm pretty low on money, and the panhandling and the dancing at Millennium Park isn't really getting me any cash.
Probably seeing regular people,
people are
every
just
day.
Let's see the Robot Man dance.
Right, and
you're like, do you have money this time? And they're like, no, we just want an encore. We gave you $10 yesterday.
Toss some stones at you. Come on, Robot Man, dance.
Then I'm letting the water from the fountains pour on my head. 23 22.
Yes, yeah, I've seen you around 5 or 6 p.m. some days when you've been pelted all day with rocks and you're just letting the water shower over you. It's a pretty sad picture, but
thanks for letting everyone picture that.
Only because you paint yourself with the colors, and when you're under the water, Steampunk, you turn your light on. You have to let us know when you're coming. I'm sorry, Greg. Go on.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thank God for that distraction. Anyway, so I was like, all right, how can I make a little extra cash? I went around, I'm fucking around online, checking out some volunteer websites or whatever, anything that will just give me food or whatever. And I see that the American Writers Museum was doing this big exhibit on horror writers. I'm like, this is a dumb time of a year to do horror stuff.
Usually summer.
People want to go see that shit in like October.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what, fuck it. It sounds like they will give me a pizza, so let me do this. So I go to the American Writers Museum. It's on Lake in Michigan, in the Loop. It's a weird building because I was really confused when I first walked in. The bellhop that like works at the front entrance kind of like shooed me away a bunch of times. I'm like, why? He's like, you gotta have an appointment or know the apartments around here. I'm like, I don't know apartments. I just know a museum.
Right.
After a while, he was like, "Oh, okay, you're working for the museum."
Did you still have the paint on from your dancing and the robot dance stuff, or did it all wash off?
Well, I washed myself before I got there, so I smelled fine.
Okay.
My problem was I think my hoodie was still wet, so it was still dripping a little bit.
Sure,
so,
he probably didn't like that.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of that. So I go up to the museum, and what they wanted me to do was take one of these microphones that I have already, since I already supplied it.
And you're always carrying them around.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't trust anyone.
Totally.
Not with the gyms around.
No, they'll get them.
They'll find it. Any case, they were like, all right, we want you to, like, ask the patrons around here, like, who's your favorite Ghost Rider and stuff like that.
Oh, so you had to do like a man on the street. Like you
kind
were
of
just
a man
gonna
on the street inside the museum. A lot of people did not want to talk about books. Like a lot of socially awkward people.
People don't read as much
I was just
anymore.
like, what's your favorite green part about Frankenstein? And they would just go, please go away, you smell.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm walking all over this floor because like it's a single floored building. Like it. Well, the museum is like it's an apartment complex,
right.
But the museum is just one floor of this building, and it's just this square. Like
right.
The elevators are like smack dab in the center of the floor, and then the rest of it is just murals and books, quote unquote. Like they got excerpts from books, and like, do you remember how racist H.P. Lovecraft was? Well, we do.
We've never forgotten.
They had like voiceover from the ghost of Vincent Price.
Oh God!
Do you want to know how much of a racist H.P. Lovecraft was? Want to know what his favorite word was?
Strap in!
Buckle in. Here it comes.
You get ready for a ride of hate.
Check out the screen projector as we project every word he loved to use a lot.
You can even trace them in on the wall. We've provided you with colored pencils.
We know that there are a lot more racist terms from this day and age, so write down your favorites.
Fill in the blanks for us.
So I had to ask all the patrons around, because they were majority white people. I was like, what's your favorite slur?
Ooh, did you hear some good ones?
I heard some juicy ones.
Oh, yeah.
I can't replicate them
Let's
on the
not.
show.
No, let's not.
I'd like
hateful.
people to like us.
Yeah, I would like that too. I don't operate under the assumption that it's possible, but I got to strive for it. We both have to strive for it.
Yeah, but the museum staff was really nice to me. It was really fun just talking about like spooky stories and ghost riders, which turns out ghost riders aren't actual ghosts.
What?
They're just people that are hired to write a story, and then a dude puts his name on it to be like, I wrote this.
What?
Yeah.
That is such bullshit. I've been reading ghost-written stories like my whole life, thinking that they were ghosts writing them.
Not real ghosts.
God damn it.
They were just normal people pretending to be other things they weren't.
Hey, Steampunk Miniman! You heard about the ghost writers? They know that in the future?
We eliminated them.
You eliminated them?
2136. It started with the rap collection.
I caught the first two parts. Okay, so they're not there in the future?
No, they aren't. They are gone. We have eliminated all of them. We started with rappers because we were tired of ghostwriting and rapping.
Oh, I bet. So you guys did get rid of ghost writers, though.
Ghost writers have been effectively eliminated.
Did you know originally that they weren't ghosts writing the stories, but other people taking credit or not taking credit for the stories they wrote?
Well, yes, it's pretty common for the human race to just come up with stories and then pretend to be someone else. I mean, what do you think pen names are? Those are essentially ghostwriters too.
No, those are what you call your pens. The special pens that you use to write stuff. You give them names.
I am glad that we get bigger brains in the future.
Fine. You know what? Go explore your tunnels and eat your sock chicken.
Steampunk Miniman, show me your teeth.
What? Why?
I said, show me your teeth.
Just do it. Show them.
Ew, they're rounded.
They're so tiny. Look at those things.
My God, they're like hungry hippo pellets.
These are pathetic. How do you? No wonder you can only eat sock chicken with those. Get out of here.
I'll remember this. You'll see. The day that the Boxcar buddies are remembered in 2477 will be long gone.
Yeah, whatever. We got sharp teeth and wits about us. You get the fuck out of here with
Get
your
out.
rounded teeth.
Fuck you.
Man, what a dick.
He is a real piece of shit. I mean, he was fun when he first got here, but he refuses to turn his light on. He's zipping around these tunnels, keeps interjecting between us while we're recording.
I'm getting splashed on so bad when he steams through.
Oh, dude, I didn't even see that. Yeah, you got like droplet streaks all across your hoodie, and that's sewer water.
Well, it looks like I'll be sitting underneath the fountains for another night.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
American Writers History Museum. I went to the break room after we were all done recording, and I'm just dicking around with like the guys who were working there, and I noticed that they just had a DVD player plugged into the little break room TV, and it was one of those DVD players that actually has access to Netflix and Hulu and whatever.
Sweet.
And they were like, you know what? To celebrate the spookiness, we were actually going to end the day watching Castlevania on Netflix.
Oh boy.
And they were like, do you want to join? And I was like, yeah, sure, fuck it. I got nowhere else to be. So we watched Castlevania Season 1 on Netflix.
Wow. How many episodes?
So there are only 4 episodes. In total, it's about an hour and 20 minutes for the episodes. So it feels more like it's just a movie broken up into 4 pieces.
Gotcha.
I will say, starting off the bat, the animation is... mwah.
Looks good.
It looks fantastic.
Nice.
The action sequences with Trevor Belmont using his whip is fucking cool.
Nice.
There is a lot of really cool action cinematography done for this animation. The monster designs are really cool looking. Really good use of voice acting. I'm not crazy about the dialogue. There's a lot of like, fuck you, oh fucking demons, oh fuck.
Oh, really? Sort of like meaningless swears?
Yeah, there's a lot of F-bombs and shit. I'm like, I get that this is like, it's a demon-filled world, like it's about Dracula and shit. It's fucking Castlevania.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's Castlevania. Castlevania is, yeah, it's dark and spooky, but at the same time, like, it's fun.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to gratuitously swear.
Yeah. Like, it's spooky, but it isn't in your face of being like, oh, fuck you.
Right. Like,
Scary
we're
horror.
adults. Adult horror.
Adults get scared so easily by swears.
Fucking shit and fuck.
Yeah, but to, like, quick summation of the story, so, Dracula's wife is captured and killed by corrupt members of the Catholic Church. Oh. So Dracula makes a promise to the entire people of this land, of this fictional, like, the fictional Castlevania land. I can never pronounce it right. It's like Wallachia or some shit like that.
Right.
It's Transylvanian sounding without being Transylvania. So Dracula says, to honor her memory, I will give you all a year to leave.
Right.
Because if you don't, I will destroy this place. This is going to be the grave for my dead wife.
Right.
So fucking leave.
Vacate. I'm giving you a year. Vacate the premises.
The Catholic Church is so corrupt and so fucked up. They're like, oh, it's a lie, smoke and mirrors.
It's not real.
And then Dracula comes down and he goes, what are you, stupid? And then the sky starts raining blood and demons fly in. They start eating babies.
I told you I was
mean,
coming back a year
You see
later.
one of these little gremlin fuckers crawl into like a baby carriage, just yank the baby out, and you see it just go. It's bloody and violent and beautiful and ugly, and I deeply enjoyed it.
Nice.
I believe this story is kind of going into Castlevania 3 and Super Castlevania, or Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I haven't played a whole lot of Castlevania games. I've only played 2, the original NES one, which I like a lot, and Symphony of the Night, and I never finished that one.
I've only played the original, and sparingly at that. That was a long time ago. I played the original Castlevania.
But I know Castlevania is like a classic, like Nintendo series,
Yeah.
and there are still some really fun games in Castlevania. I've just never really completed them or touched them longer than an hour.
Sure.
Except the first game. I remember playing the first game a lot. So going into this, I didn't have to know any knowledge of anything involving Castlevania, except like the Belmont family, of course, is referenced because the Belmonts are always the main characters.
Right.
I like the main character, Trevor Belmont. So Trevor is the last remaining Belmont, but he's been excommunicated from the church because they think that because he kills monsters, he has to dabble in black magic.
Ah.
And it's like, are you stupid?
Right.
I kill monsters. This is what we
anti.
do.
Yeah, exactly.
We are anti-evil.
Right.
Do you not understand?
Sounds like this show really portrays the Catholic Church as a bunch of dum-dums.
The Catholic Church is made to be like complete dum-dums.
Yeah.
Just big corrupt assholes. Like, I did it because she was a witch.
Disgusting. She had babies out of wedlock.
No, she was married.
Oh.
Dracula's wife.
Oh.
Mrs. Tepish. Because that's Dracula's last name.
Tepish.
Dracula Tepish. Tepish. That's their last name.
He's not quite Tep. He's Tep-ish.
Just a little bit. He's not tempered, he's Tepish.
The one name thing, Dracula, really, I think that was a good way to go.
The good way to staple it in is to give him a nice, classy last name. Hey, he needs a last name, so his wife has a last name.
For all the legal documents.
Pretty much.
Insurance.
Because they were like, she was like, darling, what do you think we should write on the wedding cards? I don't care. Just put down Mrs. and Mrs. Countess.
Right.
It's like, I'm not going to be a count.
What is my family going to think?
Fine, we'll be the Tepishes. And then they meet her family, and they're like, oh, he's so strong.
Why is he so pale?
Your complexion's a little off there, huh, Draki? All right, father-in-law, I get it. I don't get much sun. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Say hello to your grandson. Alucard. It's just my name, but backwards. Which I always thought was one of the goofiest things about, like, vampire lore with the son of Dracula is just Alucard.
Oh, this is the first time hearing of that.
Alucard is a big name in Castlevania, but I think it's also just a common name that's used in a lot of like vampire stories that bring in Dracula.
Sure.
It's Dracula
just
backwards.
The son of Dracula, but
son of Dracula, but backwards.
Alucard.
Alucard.
Totally natural sounding name.
You know what? I think Alucard sounds good, but until you find out that it's Dracula backwards, you're like,
once you first see it written, it's like, oh boy, that's.
Why would you name your son that?
Come on, guys.
Couldn't you just call him Junior?
Anything at all.
But in any case, what I like about this is this because it's so small. The story and scope is so small because it's only an hour and a half. We get to know our main characters. It's just that they go through their character development real fast. Trevor's whole character arc is that because he was excommunicated, he's become a drunkard. He doesn't really want to help people.
Right.
He still kills monsters because he's like, this is what our family does on the Belmont.
Right.
These fucking monsters.
That.
But then after meeting these like underground black magic, like good guys, like good guy wizards, he was like, I have to protect them because no one else will. That's
my motivation.
My character arc is finished. But I think the story isn't so like is only to like move the action forward because I want to see more of the animation. I want to see more monsters. I want to see Simon use his whip. because it's so violent and because it's on Netflix, they can kind of do whatever they want with the violence. It never goes super over the top, bloody and gory like most like adult action animes and cartoons.
Right.
But it's still violent. Like there's still some really, really cool moments of seeing like blades going into like a Cyclops' face.
Right. Some real graphic, like some good old fighting.
Like just good old like decapitation and people being eaten by demons. It's a good time. Season 2 is actually coming out very soon. They didn't give it an exact release date, but if you have like an hour and a half and you want to see some really good ass like spooky animation, I think Castlevania is 100% worth it, just for the animation and action alone.
Nice.
Yeah. But spinning off from that, actually, to keep the Castlevania conversation going.
Whoa, keep it going, man.
One guy in the break room actually had his Nintendo Switch with him, and I see him playing a game. And I look over, and I notice the orange sprite and the spooky backgrounds. I'm like, are you just playing Castlevania? And he goes, no. This isn't Castlevania. I'm like, yeah, it fucking is.
Dude,
like,
I see it.
Like, look at the orange sprite, man. The blue backgrounds. The skeleton just walked by you.
I see what you're playing.
You have a whip.
Yeah.
This is Castlevania. And he goes, no. This is Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon.
Oh.
So I found this out from the guy working there. His name was Rod. Rod tells me that the original creator of Castlevania, about like 2 years ago, started a Kickstarter going in that phase of like old like Nintendo directors like going on to Kickstarter to make new games.
Right.
The original creator of Castlevania went on Kickstarter to start a game called Bloodstained. So one of the Kickstarter goals was, if we make this much money, because we have all this extra money, we will create a throwback NES Castlevania-inspired version of Bloodstained to hold fans over before we release the actual Bloodstained.
Oh, I see. So this throwback that the guy was playing in the room
was a reward for getting so much money from Kickstarter.
Right.
So for people who backed it on Kickstarter, got this game for free, whereas it's on sale everywhere now on every like internet shop for like $10.
Oh, I see. But it sounds like that's like, if it's $10, like that's at least a full fleshed out game. Like
it's a full fleshed out game. So Bloodstained Curse of the Moon plays exactly like the original NES Castlevania.
Sweet.
It is really fucking good. It is up there. I think it tops the Castlevania games I've played. I have to play other ones to really give it like a good note. But whereas Mighty Number 9 failed to encompass what made Mega Man so good, Bloodstained knows everything about being good with Castlevania.
Cool.
One thing I super love about this game is, so it's super short. The main campaign should only take you about 2.5, 3 hours.
Wow.
You can beat it in a single setting. What happens is, after every level, you gain a new party member that joins you for the rest of the game.
Oh, fun.
So you have 4 playable characters. Your first character is Zangetsu. He has a short sword. He's pretty standard and pretty boring to use if you decide not to do the... I'll tell this after I talk about all the other characters.
Sure.
The special Zangetsu run. You get the main character for the big Bloodstained game that's coming out on like PS4 and Xbox and Steam. She plays exactly like a Belmont. She has a whip. She has a high jump. She can dash. I think she's the most fun character to play. You get this old alchemist whose normal range weapon is just bonking his wand. It sucks, but because special weapons are back, like treating it like the original Castlevania, his special weapons are amazing.
Yeah,
he can put up this fire shield where he is invulnerable to almost every attack.
Wow.
And anything that touches him does damage to them. So basically what you do is cover yourself in a fire wheel, and then just walk into dudes.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds great.
It's so good. And then
Hang
the last...
on a second. Let me mix my potion. I'm getting the fire
Hurry
shield
up, old
ready.
man. This skeleton's been firing arrows into my crotch for 20 minutes.
I need 3.5 more minutes. I need the bubbles to get to a yellow
Hurry up with your
fuse.
bubbles. I'm tired of you making your magic Nesquik. We have to go find Dracula.
The flavor needs
Because
to be right.
we can't use actual Dracula's name because this isn't Castlevania. It's Bloodstained.
Okay, I heard that. I need it to taste right, though. I can't swallow that good.
Yeah, so exactly like that. Okay. The final party member that joins you is the Alucard. He's the half vampire, but instead of having a magic weapon he can use, like all the others where you can find weapons, pick them up, and they do different things, he transforms into a bat.
Really?
So you can transform into a bat, you can avoid a lot of damage, and you can fly.
Yeah.
So that's how you get to like higher parts of the level and shit.
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
There is a bat. There's. Look out! Jesus! Steampunk!
Oh, he splattered right into the bat.
And he just fucking he scared a ton of other bats that just they pooped everywhere. Fucking guano, man.
I'm starting to think that being in this sewer was a bad idea.
Oh, even the air tastes like guano. It's just ugh.
Well, speaking of guano, you can't drop guano on people as your Alucard kind of dude.
Oh, you can't?
You can't, unfortunately.
You should be able to.
I wish he could. I wish he could just go like, and then just take a big old dookie.
If he was truly a la carte, you'd be able to do that.
Anyway, Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon is a good fucking game. I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said earlier with the Zangetsu only run, what you can do is, so at the end of the first 4 levels, your party members can join you, or you can kill them.
Oh!
Because
fuck you, party members!
Because Zangetsu is an exorcist, and all the other party members that join he's like, you guys aren't allowed in our society. You are cursed. You are turning into a glass person, which is like a step away from turning into a demon. You're an alchemist, which is outlawed, and you're a fucking vampire. So if you kill them, Zangetsu gains all these extra powers.
Oh boy!
So you do a Zangetsu only run. There's upsides and downsides. So Zangetsu becomes really like viable. He becomes like super powerful,
beefy. Yeah.
You can truck through the game. But once he dies, you have to like restart the level all over again. Whereas if you have the 4 party members, if one party member falls, you'll come back in that room, but as another party member that is still alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Not only that, but they all have their own separate health bars.
Oh, great.
So if one guy is about to die, just switch to a dude who's not going to.
Totally.
And continue forward. And then if you find a heart to heal yourself, change to that character and
Right.
heal up.
But that's the benefit of the party games,
Yeah.
is that you can have someone on the verge of death and somebody else picks up the slack.
Exactly. I highly recommend this. The sprite work is phenomenal. I love the boss fights. They're really big. They're really creative. And the fact that they use like a lot of like, it's semi-NES, like it's semi-8-bit. I want to say it's like 32-bit, but they make it more like it. They made it purposely look dumbed down when there's a lot of complicated parts to the game.
Cool.
Stuff that could not work from like the 80s and 90s.
Right, exactly. They wouldn't have been able to put that stuff in the game, but
No.
now they're able to and still make the game look like it did back then.
Honestly, this makes me excited to play the actual Bloodstained that will come out for consoles, because it looks like this has a lot of love and care put into it. Whereas I remember playing Mighty Number 9 thinking, oh, this is going to be just like Mega Man. I miss Mega Man so much. And you're like, ugh.
Wasn't.
Ooh, it was so bad, Don. It was
Yikes.
so bad.
Just a little...
Just a massive disappointment. The fact that Keiji Inafune said in an interview, at least it's out. I'm like, ugh.
God.
That's not something to proudly say.
What a horrible thing to say. Yeah, you guys should get psyched for this. I'm really glad we're done with it. I'm just washing my hands.
I am clean with this. Thanks for all your money.
Yeah.
Whereas
now
Bloodstained, the fact that they were like, okay, because we got so much money, we're just going to make this.
Yes.
Thank you. We're going to make 2 games.
Awesome. It's awesome.
It's short and sweet, but it's great for multiple playthroughs because you can do all the challenges. You can do the Zangetsu only run.
Yeah.
You can do like a one-player character only run.
Yeah.
There are multiple hard modes, and also if you're like new to Castlevania and you want to get used to it, there's a casual mode.
Oh,
Casual
sweet.
mode there is infinite lives, and there's no knockback.
Oh, wow.
Which is one of the leading causes to death in this game and original Castlevania, because a dude will hit you and you'll fall off a ledge. And that happens a fucking lot in this game.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to do that and you just want to experience it, play casual mode.
Yeah, that sounds cool. And a lot of times with some of those games, those challenges are just like so tedious. And even if you like the game, you'd never be into doing it. Even just the Zangetsu one, to me, sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. There's only like 5 or 6 levels. It's super short.
Yeah.
It's super easy to get into. There's multiple branching paths in every level. It's just well-structured, a well-thought-out, really fun game. And it's only $10.
Beautiful.
I think that's completely worth it. You can get a lot of time out of this game.
And that's $10. It's possible after some effort and weeks of, dancing and panhandling, we could even get that game.
Own it. The money that I got from the Writers Museum, I was actually able to afford it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I have it on my phone hand.
What? Holy shit, you've got the screen right there ready to play.
Yeah, look at it. See, look at the Bloodstained logo. It's just Castlevania. Like,
No,
the moon,
that's
shape.
That's just a blood stain across your screen right there. That's not a logo.
Oh, that's probably some of the bat.
I think so, yeah. Don't lick. Oh, you licked it.
How else am I going to get it clean?
Well, what if you get like tetanus or
What
rabies?
if I get like vampiritis?
What if you get our
It's like hepatitis for vampires. Vampiritis.
Exactly. You don't want to get that operation to clean that up. You don't want that. Okay. Well, last thing I want to tell you, Greg, before we get to the next email from you.
Is it something spooky?
No, it's very brief. But I know I said earlier tonight that nobody reads anymore, really. But I actually finished reading a book that took me a few weeks, but, just in and out of the library, sometimes trips in there to use the bathroom and stuff like that.
Just sneaking in, like going through the aisles and just quickly glancing through 2 pages before leaving.
Yes, exactly. Just real guerrilla reading, as I like to call it. You get in there, you read a few chapters, and then you get out real quick. But so I was doing that, and I finished this book finally. It's in the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett.
You've been reading some Terry Pratchett?
I've been reading some Terry Pratchett, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, Greg, but I have a little bit of experience with Terry Pratchett from the book Good Omens with Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. It's a great collaboration, great book. They're making a mini-series on Amazon right now about it. It's going to be fantastic. So I know Terry Pratchett from that, but I didn't know anything about the Discworld series. I've heard people talk about it. I know it's very big, kind of daunting to get into. But
some people don't know where to start unless you break it down into the character series.
Yes, exactly. And so I felt like that. I was a little bit daunted to even try and get into it, but I like fantasy a lot, so I decided to give this a try. And the book that I read in the Discworld series is called Mort.
Mort.
That
one's my favorite.
It's a great book. It's so funny. It's very short. It was just about 200 pages, I think.
Yeah.
Like maybe a smidge less, but it's right around there. It's a very quick read. It was mostly short chapters, so it's kind of easy to burn through. I like that. And it's very funny. The premise of this book is that on one of the planets in the Discworld, on one of like the planes, exactly. On one of them, there's this marketplace, and it's like a big world, and all the kids at a certain age go there on a meeting day to get their tasks or their jobs for the rest of their lives. And that's kind of where it starts. You meet Mort. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He's kind of a hapless fool, and his dad doesn't even know what to do with him. But he brings him to the market to see if he can get a job, and everyone else gets picked except for Mort. And just as they're about to leave, Death shows up. Just the Grim Reaper himself. He shows up looking for an apprentice, and hapless Mort, the only guy left, ends up as Death's apprentice. And the story kind of goes on from there. And it's very funny.
Death is probably one of the most beloved and, just one of the most fun characters in the Discworld universe. I love that he doesn't have quotations.
No.
that he's just italics.
The font is like blocky. That's his speech pattern. Yeah, and they go through some things in Mort where like even they play with that. That changes a little bit, but it's a short book. It's a quick read, and I am excited to read more of the Discworld series now that I've kind of snuck in a little bit with Mort. It's a nice, easy starting off point, and the whole Discworld series they're episodic. They are the books don't relate to each other in a chronological way. So you don't
it depends on the characters that you follow, because there's the Death storyline, there's the Night Watch storyline, there's the Magic storylines.
I see.
The books are scattered all over the place. So if you do a little bit of research, you can pick whatever story you want to get into.
Right. And there would be a starting point and a progression of books.
And you can just continue from there. So if you want to get into like the Death storyline, start with Mort. If you want to get into Night Watch, start with Guards.
Cool. And that is seems like you've read some
read
Discworld
these
there,
before.
Greg. Yeah.
I have only read the Death storylines, and I've only read up to the second Night Watch stories.
Cool.
I have not read most of the others. I want to read the Magic storylines because one of the characters is an orangutan.
Nice.
After an unfortunate incident turned him into an orangutan, and I'm just like, that's funny.
Yeah.
He still works at the library, but he's an orangutan.
Right. Just an ape now.
He's just an ape.
But I liked. Well, that's cool, and Greg's totally right. If you want to follow characters or storylines, you can do some research and do that. Or it seems like there are books in the Discworld series that probably stand alone that are just little bits,
just Discworldies.
Just that take place in the same world, and you might have some crossover mentions to other characters and stuff like that.
Other characters will constantly pop up in other stories. Death is pretty much constant in all of the storylines.
Yeah, I bet. He seems like that kind of character that's just running all throughout the
orangutan
background.
pops up. He's popped up a bunch in the Night Watch stories. I think he was actually mentioned in Mort, but in passing.
Probably, yeah, because I don't remember that. So it would have had to have been in passing for sure. But Mort is very good, and I'll just say, since that's the only one I've read so far, but it's a nice, easy starting place to kind of ease you into to the Discworld series. But Terry Pratchett, really great author, wonderful use of humor, and also, he's good with brevity. He communicates a lot in a short while, which makes it easy to kind of read these books, and I like it a lot. So I would recommend that Discworld, and specifically Mort in the Death storyline in that.
Neat.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that briefly, and now for this week's email.
Greg's List.
That
made it sound like it was breaking news. Breaking news. The boys read an email. Next at 11. Meanwhile, in the town of Chicago, Donald and Gregory find an email. There's text on a page. I can't read.
But we can, and thankfully that's how we're able to communicate this email
that
you send us and that we're bringing to you. So again, if you want to know anything, ask us anything, or just tell us whatever you want, Greg's List at Gmail.
Greg's List.
Well, there's three.
Greg's List.
Yeah, 3 G's, right?
Greg's List.
At gmail.com.
Greg's List.
Don't you fucking forget it. Don't you fucking forget it. Okay, we got it. There's three. Okay. I will bite you. This one comes from Jeff. Hey, Boxcar buddies. In passing, I've heard you guys talk about Final Fantasy.
We bunch.
have.
Yes.
Where are you passing to hear us talk about Final Fantasy?
I mean, we've brought it up in conversations every now and again. In passing.
Of course. I get it. Okay.
We bring it up because we like Final Fantasy.
We do. He asks, do you guys have a favorite? I can come right out and say Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite of the bunch.
I've talked about mine on the show before. My favorite is 9.
Final Fantasy 9, Jeff. Greg likes 9, I like 8.
Yeah, go back to...
Episode 5.
Go back to that one and you can find all my love for Final Fantasy 9. But that's my all-time favorite game. That is my favorite Final Fantasy game. That one's just the top tier for me.
Yeah, and I've never played 9 to completion. I started it. Great game, very different in the Final Fantasy realm, so it was very appealing.
Well, that's not true at all. It's a homage to 1 through 6.
Oh yeah, true. But I mean, like, I guess what I meant to say is it's different
from
than where it
PS1.
went. Yes,
they purposely made 9 because 7 and 8 are so different.
and that's the way that it continued on from 10 all the way through 15, where they've been now. That's kind of the route they continued on. But yes, the 9 is an homage to the 1 through 6, and with the all the way to the Black Mage character and like the fantasy
worlds,
elements.
There's no lone human race. Like 9's world is completely encompassed of like rat people and hippo people.
Right.
So when you have party members that are not 100% human, you're not baffled by it because you're like, why is this cartoon cat following me around?
Right.
Oh, and you're like, oh, okay, this is my new party member. She's part of a rat race.
Right.
She's a rat racer.
Hey, a lot of people part of that right here in Chicago. The rat race. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But I know Final Fantasy. Yeah, it's a great series.
How come you like 8 so much?
I played 8 when I was when I was of a certain age.
A wee toddler.
Yeah, and it got into that special place that things get into that. No matter what, like, I don't go back and play it now. If they ever remade it, I would definitely play that. But it just got into that place where when I recall playing it when I was younger, there's a lot of fond memories associated with it. Me and my brother played it a lot. The main character, Squall, is very emo. And there are some questionable scenes in there.
There are some bad scenes.
When when Squall and Renoa are like dancing, there are definitely parts that upon looking back I dislike it.
The freak out Squall has about being talked about in the third person.
Yes. Yeah, there
is a lot of moments where like this is bad.
Yeah, but I like the fighting. I like the different weapons and abilities
the music
of
is so good.
The music's fantastic. I
think 8 has probably the strongest soundtrack in the entire series.
I would agree with you there. Even every time I hear that theme, the opening theme of Final Fantasy VIII, it's immediately Doom 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 doom. Yeah,
it's great.
That'll be
like that opening cinematic is so cool.
It's
like,
it's yeah. It's
there
great.
Are parts of 8 I really like. 8's actually the first game I played in the series.
So that was your kind of intro.
That was my intro. I didn't like it as a kid. I still don't like it now. There are parts of it I like.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I like it way more than 13 and 2 and 3.
Yeah, I believe me. I mean, I've heard even my own, like plenty of people in my family prefer like 7 to 8. I've heard so much bad mouthed about 8 like my whole life.
Is like the black sheep of the series. There are like 8 was really popular when it came out. But nowadays, people like shit on it all the time.
Totally, and I get that. Like I said, it's like that. It's like those movies you watched when you were a kid. When you revisit them as an adult, it's like, oh God, how did I like this?
Yeah,
but you still remember it fondly.
Yeah.
When you're away from the screen and you're not absorbing it actively, you still remember it well.
The nostalgia of it. Where
yes,
you're like, I had so much fun when I watched that as a kid, and then you watch it again, and you're like,
I'm not going to watch this anymore. I'm just going to remember how much I liked it when I was a kid.
I'm kind of that way with X-Men 2.
Yes!
I remember seeing that movie and I was like, I fucking love this. This is so cool.
And
then rewatching it, I'm like,
you don't want to watch it anymore. Yeah, you don't want to watch it anymore. Exactly. It's just like that. I'm not going to go back and like play it. Like I said, if they remade it, I'd try it, but I know 8's different. The first Final Fantasy game I played was Final Fantasy 1 when I was younger on the Nintendo
original
system. Yeah.
Man, the fucking NES one is so hard.
It's very hard.
I didn't play the first Final Fantasy until it was remade for Game Boy, where you could save anywhere you fucking wanted.
Final Fantasy 1 is so hard that as kids, me and my brother played it all the time. We played it, our grandma had the system, and we'd visit her like weekly practically. We played it, and when I say younger, we were like, 5, 6, 7 years old. We played it so regularly, and for years, we thought Garland was the final boss of Final Fantasy 1. That's how hard the game is. Garland is like the first boss
Garland
you face.
is the first boss.
So that's why, like, jokingly, we thought it was the final boss because that's just how hard the game is.
But then when you get that opening scrawl of like walking over the bridge, you're like,
yeah.
What just happened?
What is going on now? Yeah.
But it did well because it was so inspired by Dragon Quest. It did that thing where it's like you can only save at a church.
Right, exactly. So that was tough. But yeah, Final Fantasy as the series, there's a reason why it's been around so long. It has changed over the years. It's continuing to change. 15 was
15 was messy.
It was experimental.
I liked it, but I don't think it's one of the best ones. And at least it's fucking finished now.
Yeah,
a year after it was released, which is terrible.
So what did they like patch and like fix it?
They
through, like,
they
updates?
added a bunch of story DLC.
I see.
So and the story DLC filled in the blanks in between what was missing from the original story. But 15 did one of the biggest cardinal sins. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
One of the cardinal sins I think about any form of media, whether it's a movie or it's a video game, is that if you need to do a lot of beforehand reading and watching before getting into this, and it's not a sequel. Like,
no.
To get into this title, to get into 15, you have to watch an anime series to understand the entire character's backstories and why they get along so well. And you have to watch a fucking movie to understand the first hour of the game's story.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Well, anytime that you are, especially with a game, it's different with movies and shows or books, as we just mentioned, like the Discworld series and stuff. But with a game especially, and it's not a sequel. That's not a sequel game.
For those who don't know, Final Fantasy games, every numbered title is a different game.
Yeah, it's not continuous.
It has elements of the series, so like you'll always meet a character named Sid. There's always like the staple monsters are always going to be there.
Yes.
Spell names, like staple spells like Firaga, Meteor, and Flare.
There are bookmarks. There are check marks in the series that you'll find in all the games that are part of the Final Fantasy world that make that how it is. But the characters, the storylines, the events of the games, those are all different.
They are different every single time.
Different locations, different time periods.
Different worlds, different, like, the airships are shaped differently. Like, some of the airships can either just be a boat with a sail, or it can be a fucking spaceship that looks like a dragon.
Some of the older Final Fantasy games are very clearly, seemingly, in the past, while some of the more recent seemingly take place clearly in the future.
Like, they're way more sci-fi, like steampunk worlds, as opposed to fantasy medieval beat.
Exactly. But to your point, Greg, about the cardinal sin thing, any video game where you're making someone go outside of said game
to understand your story,
context, just simply to understand the story and context,
is bad.
It's horrible.
It's bad.
Think you're just asking way too much of people. And not
if
only that,
if you can't get this across in your own game, then I don't think it counts.
I don't think it counts, and you shouldn't make the game.
Even with my very favorite game, Final Fantasy IX, the final boss makes no sense unless you do extra reading outside the game. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense. You didn't put that in the game.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's not in there.
And that's a bad move, because what you're doing is you look at all this content, games, stories, music, movies, it's all a journey, right? And you start at one point and you move along and things happen and then you get to the resolution. When you're making someone visit another place in order to make your journey in that game make sense,
that just shows that you didn't think about it when you first did it.
And the reward that someone's supposed to get from this, it's not valid. Like, you did not, in this one medium, you didn't give them everything they needed to feel what you want them to feel at the end.
And that's
a failure.
That is 15's biggest problem. Its entire intro is not in 15.
Right.
And then there are specific character moments in the game, because I remember I played it vanilla when it was released.
Mm-hmm.
There are moments where your party members leave and then something happens to them when they come back. Like, one of your characters leaves, he comes back and he's got this nasty fucking scar all over his face, and you don't find out how that happens until a DLC came out like 8 months later.
Jeez.
And I'm like, I already finished the game.
Right. I don't care anymore now.
I don't care anymore.
Right.
It's over.
Exactly.
At least now 15 is quote unquote finished.
Right. So if
you still need the movie and you still need the anime series to get into it.
Yeah, that's just
bad.
no good. That's just no good.
I don't think that's good.
Yeah. So I feel you.
If you can't make me care about like the characters' backstories in game, then I'm not going to care about it.
No, it's a failure. It's a failure of content. Honestly, I think that's.
But I still like the road
trip.
trip. I thought the road trip was fun.
Yeah, I didn't play Final Fantasy 15, so kind of my feelings on it are based on watching someone else play it, and that was sparingly, but what I caught from it was a lot of selfies and road tripping and like broing out in villages, and it just didn't really appeal to me for some reason.
I like that a lot because it just made the 4 main characters likable.
I guess
like, because these are the only characters you get. I like when the cast is small, so it focuses a lot on them. But 15 didn't really focus on all of them because it had cut content.
Right, exactly. And again, we just established that my favorite Final Fantasy is 15, or 8, I'm sorry, where Squall is the emo guy who nobody likes, so it's
but then you switch back and forth between him and Laguna is amazing.
He's the anti. Laguna and Irvine are both, like, such fun characters.
Yeah. I just
Zell is what I'm thinking of.
Zell and Irvine were part of Squall's team, but Laguna, Kyros, and Ward. Their storyline takes place somewhere completely different, and I just had
it's a dream world. Yeah,
I had so much more fun with Laguna's side because Laguna is just a very likable character, and he doesn't go, I don't want to be talked about in the third person.
Yeah, Laguna's more likable, and he's like it's shrouded in mystery. You keep wondering during the game where that's going to. So he's interesting as a character. But anyway, that was a little bit of we ranted about that.
We kind of went on a tangent, but like to reiterate, my favorite's 9, Don's favorite is 8, but like. What would you like? Quick throw out like what are other Final Fantasy games you're like that one's real good?
10 is a game that I like very much. Aside from, of course, the worst video game cutscene of all time.
Hey, that cutscene is done on purpose. It's done on purpose, and it's funny. The Japanese version is worse.
Yes, I know. That's kind of what I think of, like legitimately when I do say it. But
10 is good. I recommend. I've already talked about 7. Everyone loves 7.
Yeah, that's.
I'm
going
to recommend Tactics.
Really?
Tactics is very good. I think Tactics has the best story of any Final Fantasy game, the best main character of any Final Fantasy game.
Interesting.
Ramza is a fantastic protagonist. Watching him go from like this spoiled, bratty. Like noble to a fucking incredible mercenary is great.
So he actually progresses as like a hero.
It's done in like the story is told in segments, so it's done where Ramza was like a teenager, then early adult as a mercenary, and then the leader of a resistance.
Oh wow.
And it's a really politically powered, really well thought out game. It's in the same universe as 12. It's in Ivalice.
Okay.
So if you've played 12 before, I think it's really easy to get in Tactics. If you've never played 12 before, I recommend play Tactics, then get into 12 because like they kind of mesh together a little bit.
Gotcha.
And I think 12 is okay.
12 is okay. Yeah, I would agree with that there totally.
12's fun. I don't like its characters or story. I think it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun. Whereas, like we said with the other ones we mentioned,
it's got a fucking good world. And that's because Tactics is really good.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that answers your question, Jeff. Finishing up, he says, any bad ones was another one he asked. And then just final line, love the show. You guys are strange. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff from Edgewater. That's, we appreciate the...
Living on the edge there, Jeff. Like I am.
He is right here. Greg's been living on the edge this whole episode.
Take this here.
Oh, Greg, no.
Don, no.
I got you, bud. I got you. Come on. Get you back up here. Yes. Oh, you're dripping. Oh, there's poop all over your leg. Oh, God, let's get that off of there. You all right, buddy? Can you breathe?
I'm gonna find that Steam boy.
Steampunk fucking mini. What's your problem, man? Dude, he knew you were on the edge, and he was just looking to come by and push you off.
I'm gonna fucking find that dude. And I'm gonna eat his heart.
God.
And I'm gonna eat his steam power. and gain its steamy powerness.
We got to get you some new clothes first, man. Those things are not going to make it out of here.
He's still flying in these goddamn sewers. I'm gonna find him.
All right. Well, you go ahead. Okay. All right. Got the scent? You catch him? Get him, boy! Get him! All right, well, Greg's going to go follow Steampunk Miniman. He's going to try and exact some revenge. But just to recap here, Final Fantasies, give him a look. Discworld, check it out. Mort is a nice, easy starting place. Arrested Development Season 5, definitely check that out, especially if you're a fan of the show. And Castlevania and Bloodstained. Castlevania, the animated on Netflix, 4 episodes. Give yourself a look if you got an hour, 20 minutes. And Bloodstained, the original, or the Castlevania-inspired game, harkening back to the NES style of it. All worth playing, all worth checking out. So thank you again for tuning in. I'm probably going to go up topside and get some fresh air because I'm about to puke. And we'll talk next week. But thanks again so much. This has been Todd and Craig, the Boxcar Buddies. See ya.
Never get me.
Craig, there he was. Go get him.
Oh, Jesus!
Yeah, fuck you, you steam-powered piece of shit. It looks like real blood, too, not steam. Oh!